This is one of those gospels that inevitably should rub you the wrong way. I mean, it should leave you with a stinging kind of feeling, because you ought to wonder what's going on with Jesus. Why would he initially respond the way that he did to this poor woman who's just looking for some help? And it's in these situations that I think it's really important to understand the context of the encounter. Oftentimes we miss so much in the scriptures because we're not able to make the connections. Maybe we don't have a good grasp of the historical context, which obviously is so important for us to understanding why the people did what they did, said what they said. So I'd like to identify a few things to help paint a better picture. So this is one of the few occasions where Jesus is outside the Jewish territory. We know that Jesus' mission was to the Israelites, to the Jewish people. That was where he was hyper-focused on. And now all of a sudden, he kind of finds himself in this area, Tyre and Sidon, which is just north of Galilee, and it's outside of the Jewish territory. It's where the Phoenicians dwelt, the great seafaring people. It's important to know that Jesus' mission, again, was to the Jewish people. It would be the focus of his disciples then to take the gospel to the rest of the world. Jesus focused on the Jewish people, taught the apostles, and then it was their mission to go out into the world. So that should give us a better understanding of why Jesus is reacting the way he is. He kind of hesitates with this woman. So it's in this area where Jesus encounters this Gentile woman. It's a woman who is not of Jewish origin, of lineage, a non-Jew, who is a Canaanite woman. Why is that important? Well, because this is a big problem for the Jewish people of the time. You see, not only was she a Gentile, that is a non-Jew, but she also belonged to the old Canaanite stock. The Canaanites were ancestral enemies of the Jews. Hopefully that begins to help you to better understand where Jesus is coming from. Not only is she a non-Jew, they're outside of his home territory. She's from the ancient stock of the Israelites' enemies. Yet here we have this, nonetheless, we have this woman, this poor woman, this Gentile who's crying out. She must have heard about Jesus and all the incredible things that he would have done, and she just wanted help. She was looking for a break. And now we know Jesus, and there was only one thing for him to do in this situation. He had to awaken true faith in the woman's heart before he was able to heal her. You see, faith comes before healing. Faith comes before healing. So in the gospel passage, it comes to life with this understanding that faith is primary. And any healing that Jesus may do, it's meant to bolster, encourage, support faith. He's not a magician, a miracle worker first. He is Lord and Savior first. And this is what's motivating Jesus in his unexpected encounter with this foreigner, this Gentile, the ancestral enemy of his people. So what follows is a really tough dialogue that's not without purpose. There's this uncomfortable sting in his words. But it's precisely in these tough passages, friends, that I think there's so much spiritual just juice and energy. There's so many good things for us to mine in these very difficult passages. You know, isn't it often the case in our lives when we ask the question, where is God? Right? Why isn't God listening? Why can't I see him? Why can't I feel him? Why can't I sense God's presence? I mean, you have the power, Lord, so help me. Each of us have been in that situation. countless times even. In many ways, we can relate to this Canaanite woman in today's gospel. It's a story of a woman who's asking Jesus for a favor, but then she's off put. He doesn't come in and just, bam, give her exactly what she needs. He responds, so she begins with this. She says, "Have pity on me. My daughter is tormented by a demon." I mean, that's heavy stuff. And in response to her plea, Jesus first is silent. He's silent. And then what does he say? He says this, "It is not right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs." Wow. First, Jesus is silent. And that's almost insulting enough. And then the disciples ask him to send her away. And he directly insults her, saying that he won't help her because she's a non-Jew. How much more can this poor woman take? She's put off 3 times. Imagine how frustrated she must have been. I mean, any one of us would have given up, right? We would have just said, okay, let me go find a different way because this guy obviously doesn't want to help. But she persists and offers probably one of the best comebacks in all of the Bible. She says, "Please, Lord, for even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of their masters." She sees something, and so does he. And now, friends, he says this, "O woman, great is your faith." You could imagine his face, right? She says that. She says, "Please, Lord, for even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of the master." And you could see his face in this response. "O woman of great is your faith. Let it be done to you as you wish." And the woman's daughter was healed from that hour. So this is a tough scene. And it seems that Jesus is so out of character. Why is he acting this way? Which is a question I'm sure all of us have. Then we see this woman who is so persistent, and she finally gets what she wants. But what's this all about? What can we conclude from this passage, and how does it relate to us in our lives? How does it help you and me? Well, I like to think it this way. What Jesus is doing is testing her faith. Better put, Jesus is teasing her faith, drawing it forward, bringing it to her consciousness. He's telling her, there's something in you that I want you to see for yourself. You see, for many of us, it's tough to hear these words, right? I mean, what do you mean Jesus is testing her? Right? We don't like that kind of language, especially when it comes to God. To us, it may sound a bit unfair, arbitrary. We're thinking, here's this powerful figure who's playing games with this poor woman. He's teasing this poor woman like a cat teases a mouse. But is that what's really happening? Is God playing games with her? Does he play games with us? Does he test us? We'd probably say, Lord, if it's all the same to you, I would prefer not to be tested. Thank you very much. Blessed Cardinal, or now Saint Cardinal Henry Newman, was a convert from the Anglican Church. He lived in the 19th century, and he said it so well. He said this. He said, "Things do by opposition grow." Things do by opposition grow. And I think this is the principle that Jesus is applying. And we all know what that's like. I mean, think about it. When you go to the gym, a bodybuilder, what does he or she have to do in order for the muscles to grow? You got to press against the resistance. You got to push the weight. When you start to lift weights, you may start maybe with 5 pounds. And then what do? You begin to add more weight as your muscles grow and develop. And if you don't add more weight, your muscles actually atrophy, they decline. You need to continuously add weight, challenge your muscles for them to grow. In order to grow and get stronger, you test yourself, you push yourself. Things do by opposition grow. When they're given a test and only when they're given a trial. As a coach, you will test precisely the player that you think is gifted. I see something in you. You're not pushing yourself hard enough. You got so much potential. Run faster, run farther, run longer. I hope you see what I'm getting at. Friends, why should our relationship with God be any different? Why? It's no different in our faith life. Only when we're tried, only when we're tested, are we able to see how strong our faith really is and how stronger it could be. Only when it's tried and tested will our faith grow. Or else we risk maintaining a faith that's weak and insecure. If our faith isn't tested, then we naturally fail to grasp how precious and hard-wearing it really is. If our faith doesn't press up against something, it wastes away in atrophy. Yes, God does test us. Yes, He does try us, but not because He's playing a game with us. Not because He wants to see us struggle under the weight, but because He doesn't want us to fail. God often tests us so that we can grow stronger in our faith, so that we ourselves can see how strong our faith really is and how strong it could be. This is what Jesus is doing in our gospel. He finds someone who has faith, small as it may be. He comes to her, and He gives her something to press against. And boy, does she press. In her struggle with Jesus, her faith comes out stronger and stronger, and she says it. She hears herself say it, and others do as well. Friends, here we see clearly why God doesn't always give us what we want when we want it. Why is He often silent in our lives? Well, maybe He's giving our faith something hard to press against, a resistance. Because it's in that trial, in that very struggle, that our faith becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Keep pressing. And don't give up.